Welcome to the very first Tundra Dip Book Club book talk, TALK, with me and Dana. We decided to do this kind of just for funsies. We both are very aware that we will not always have time to do it, but we are going to do it as much as we can whenever we can. So the first book club book that we're going to be reviewing is Mountains Made of Glass. And it's worth mentioning that for those of you who don't know us, I own Tundra Dip nails, and Dana is a fanatic fan and
That's all.
best friend. And so, in this company, we do book club every month, and we're starting it back up again. So we thought that this would be a fun part of book club. So every month we'll read a book. We make some nail colors that go with the book, and we do different like little talks and different little engagements around it, and it's a lot of fun. So, I picked. We're gonna each share why we picked this or why we like this book. I picked the book. Dana didn't pick the book. But I picked this book because I thought it was super whimsical. It's an easy read. It's kind of one of those weird, like fairy books that where the magic doesn't play by the rules and it's not taking itself too seriously. And it's kind of cool because everything is very chaotic and everything is very unpredictable. So that's why I like it.
I guess it's my turn. Yay.
Yay.
As soon as Bonnie sat there and sent me what this book was going to be, I jumped on downloading it. She will tell you it's already downloaded. It's already on my Kindle. I'm reading it right now. What are we talking about? It was such an easy read. It was such a lighthearted read. I love little puzzles and guessing games, and the fact that this book had one of those, sign me up. Let's go.
The whole time.
I sent you several different options of what I did not want the name to be. It's like, oh, is it gonna be this? It was, I swear, if this is his name, I'm throwing it out the window.
I'm pretty sure that what his name actually was, you didn't want it to be.
No, I was really mad. I found out what his name was, and I said, no, thank you.
That's
I'll
not
pass.
it.
This is not it. But understanding that this is a retelling of one of those classic fairy tales, okay, fine, it makes sense that that's his name. I concede.
Mhm.
But I am so happy that this book got introduced. I love Scarlett St. Clair.
Mhm.
Oh, I can't wait to read more. The second
Mhm.
book comes out this month.
I know. I saw somebody on TikTok say that it was a standalone, and I'm like, I mean, it
Incorrect.
could stand on its own, but I'm sure. But no, 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 it's not.
No, we get one book for each of the lovely Elvin brothers.
Yeah, because you actually had the like special sneak peek type situation with this one.
I had a little meet and greet that I was a part of with Scarlett St. Clair, where we got to hear a bit more about Apple Dipped in Gold, I want to say is the title.
Okay.
And I should be soon getting in my email what they describe as an NFT for books, where I'll get a little sneak peek as to what's coming before it actually comes out.
Is it Sleeping Beauty, you think?
She said, and I want to say it messaged you because I cannot remember it off the top of my head right now. She did mention what it was mainly based upon.
Oh,
Apple's
White.
me think of Snow White.
Yeah, Snow White.
Um,
Not Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty comes in later in this this conversation, so that's why
Yes,
it's on
it does. Stay tuned for more information.
your and Sleeping Beauty is very relevant.
Mhm.
But she did say like what the main thought was, and obviously it's escaped my mind right now.
Mhm.
Just like how this lovely one will get to what its main fairy tale is, and
Uh,
all of the connections I pull from other books with similar vibes.
right, and I'm gonna ask you what you think the main fairy tale in this is because I bet you I'll say something different.
It's 110% Beauty and the Beast.
No, it's
Yes,
Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay, it is. I am very passionate about this. It is Rumpelstiltskin because of guessing the name, and I
Hmm.
that. On a normal basis, I would have said that. But, and not to give too much away in advance, given the fact that our character is called the Beast, which is not a spoiler yet,
Yeah.
he is a prisoner. There is Stockholm Syndrome involved. And then the other prisoner that we have, it is Beauty and the Beast.
The Stockholm Syndrome is Stockholming.
Stockholm Syndrome, always Stockholms.
All right, so since we're getting into theories and whatnot, do you want to do your recap of the first 4 chapters?
I would love to jump into this lovely little rundown recap. Bear with me for anything that's a little bit out there, you guys. We're also going to try to make this TikTok safe.
Good idea.
If it ends up there, we don't want to end up in the void. That would
Yes. No.
So, we start our wonderful journey off by meeting our female main character, Gazella. Is that how we say her name?
I say it Gisella.
Gisella?
Like, is it? I don't know. We didn't read the audiobook, apparently.
We did not read the audiobook. So, as she's chopping wood, our homegirl zones out, and obviously her mind wanders off to the memory of her sister's death, because where else would it go? A groan from the enchanted forest then snaps her out of her thoughts, and she grumpily throws a bucket full of blood into the forest as a former friend, Elise, approaches her. Yes, we feed our forests blood. Isn't it lovely? Elise had come to tell Gisella that the villages well has run dry, and it's Gisella's turn. A turn for what exactly? To break the curse that plagues the village. Yes, this village gets cursed so often that people have determined a turn system, or what I will refer to as the reaping, for who gets dishonor. Giselle is promptly informed. I love words. I work with children all day. I talk all day.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gisella promptly informs Elise that she has her own well, and frankly, doesn't care about the village or the villagers.
Homegirl.
They, literally, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
However, the monkeys have basically come and caged her in. And by that I mean the villagers are now surrounding her, and unless she wants to go run into the forest, she is trapped by an angry mob. And part of this angry mob is Roland. Oh, we'll get more into him later. After basically just hauling her to this well, against her will, mind you, she is in the thought process of all these other curses that have happened and all these other people who have been cursed, and it was not fun. People died.
Not well.
People unalive. Sorry. Not the other. At the bottom of the I'm skipping in my notes. Fire me now. So Giselle her task to kill the toad in the well. Once the toad's dead, the water will return. Yay! After, just insulting Roland a couple more times, he pushes her into the well, and the villagers go back to their normal lives, reaping ceremony over. Now at the bottom of the well, she meets the toad, and she does not want to kill this toad. And this toad looks like he is hopping away for his life, but really he's just hopping along stones to get her out of the well. And they're back alive. They're back out. They're on solid ground. Woohoo. Panic over.
Until
she decided, again, having decided she does not want to unalive this toad, is I will just trap you and keep you as my pet, I guess, so I don't have to unalive you. But the toad goes, actually, no, I'm going back to the well. And starts hopping his merry little self over there. And, one thing leads to another. A rock might have smashed a head, and the toad's no longer with us. Poor Toad. He gets buried at the edge.
mm-hmm.
enchanted forest.
The
Um,
edge.
Edge. And Gisela takes herself back home, goes to bed. Fate will come her way. She has accepted whatever happens to her. And what happens is she wakes up to see 5 lovely elven princes.
She wasn't that excited though. It wasn't like a good surprise. It wasn't like a fun, kinky surprise. It was like a scary
Princes. It was the hell and cheers.
surprise.
These princes are quite literally watching her sleep. Love that for them. Edward vibes, anybody? And basically tell her, you killed our brother, who was also a prince. You could have kissed him, but no, you had to go and kill him. We don't care what you had to do for your curse. You didn't break his curse.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of unaliving her, decide we will just ship you off to our beastly brother, the Prince of Thorns. Why
Beast.
does this sound familiar, Bonnie?
I don't know. It's basically the exact same beginning as Akatar.
Oh,
Pillsbury have to go live with the beast.
Pillsbury lives with Beast.
Mm-hmm.
More on those conclusions later. She turns up in this new castle, meets our 7th prince, and it's a rather steamy first impression, I would say.
I mean, this was good kinky fun.
This, this was kinky good fun, but we didn't want one yet. We were still mad at him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot.
We don't like him yet. It's too early for the enemies to lovers to be lovers.
Oops, sorry. I was already sold. Sorry.
We're sold. Tall, dark, and handsome, sign me up.
You
I'm
just have to
sorry.
remind me of that frequently.
Yes. We're gonna have to remind each other.
Mm-hmm.
But we meet him in a rather steamy embrace. And he demands to know why she's here. He goes, "What? How? A, how did you get here? B, who
Mm-hmm.
sent you? C, are you a spy for my brothers? Because why else would they send me this random
What does he call her?
vicious creature?
Well, but then he calls her a seductress or something like that, or
Uh,
a
a
siren. Mm-hmm.
a siren. His brothers have sent him a siren, and if he did not fall first and harder, I don't know what to tell you. She, after our little embrace, and we kind of get to the bottom of like, no, your brother sent me because I kind of killed the other one. Little spiel. He tells her how filthy she is and that she needs to go bathe.
Yeah, he does.
But does she get to bathe by herself? Absolutely not. Let's wave a red flag for our morally gray main character.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as she goes, leave me alone, the tally marks started. The red flags have started. Because she tells him, leave me alone, and he listens. Consent, man. Um, the what are they, gnomes? I haven't written down the gnomes, the trolls, whoever they are.
The
Out,
caps.
come out and start pelting her with stones, kind of causing her to beg him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
For her safety, of course. Just for her safety. Nothing else.
I mean, she didn't ask him to get naked, so
Oh, no, not at all. He can just stay in the box and
yeah. So it was for safety.
for safety. And with that safety ensured, she might have taken a dive into the water, trying to seal her own fate.
Oh,
Which,
that's fine.
oh yeah, we tried to seal our own fate into a watery grave, and the beast said, no, 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 no. Oh, I have the quote written down, I believe. Maybe not. But he says, no, no, no. You do not get to leave the world by your own hands.
Mm-hmm.
No, no. And if you do, I will hunt you down and find you.
This is why I like Scarlett St. Clair.
Because you know, we're gonna hunt people down in depth.
Yeah.
Um, Teleports her to his room, and then we jump into the perspective of our beast, of our prince, into our last chapter. To say he's infatuated with Gisela would be the understatement of the year, because that's basically what his whole perspective is how she is a siren, how much he basically wants her, and he will make her want her by the end of this. Red flag, thank you. And we also meet the mirror, and we learn a bit about his curse, which is to forget his true name until spoken to him by his true love.
Mm-hmm. Because the name precedes you.
A name precedes you, and without one, you are nothing. We close with him watching her through the mirror. And the final words, well, his final words was that she was a siren, but the final words I went off on were, she will live long enough to speak my name.
Yeah, it's a little eerie.
Good one-liners in this.
There is so much. Okay, so we've read the first like section and then the second section, right? There
Yes.
was so much more to notate in the first section than there's so many like nuggets and so many theories coming from the first section.
Well, and there's so much more coming back and looking on it as a reread. Because
Right.
I did not pick up on half of this when I was reading it my first time through. So going back through, and I guess we should maybe give a quick disclaimer. We will try not to spoil anything, but
I have read the book, but it's been a while. I read up till like the second week of the book club. Dana read it all recently.
I
So
read
I'm forget.
Sticker for us, and I'm now rereading it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all very fresh in my mind, and I will try my best to censor myself on certain issues. I am human, I am flawed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this is the character building, and in such a short novella, she has done such a great job world building within 4 chapters. That's what this is.
Well, yeah, so to start, like, even before you start reading, she has all the princes listed and their kingdom in the
The prince,
beginning. So it says, huh?
yeah, I was just repeating what you said, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Casimir, Kingdom of Thorn. So first one. So I don't know if she's gonna go through them in order, but Lore, Kingdom of Nightshade, Silas, Kingdom of Havelock. I'm gonna eventually look up like what exactly these different things like these different I don't know if they're like herbs or what exactly they are or like plants, what
Well,
they're known for.
Nightshade's a poison, no?
Nightshade and I think Foxglove is, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Foxglove, Hellbore, Larkspur, and Willowin. And I don't know if Willowin is like willow tree or what. We're gonna say that it is because we have a theory.
More on that later.
More on that later. But the first thing that I noticed in the first, even just the first page, is she hates the Enchanted Forest. And she calls the Enchanted Forest a she the
Yes,
whole way.
forest is very feminine, and I don't know if that's because in general we tend to describe nature as something that's more feminine in literature, and
The
that's,
earth.
regular Mother Nature,
Mm-hmm.
Enchanted Forest, it is she.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there's more to kind of read into look at that, but she is not having it with nature, and I don't know if that's because of something that happened with her sister, which we'll kind of look into more, I think, come week 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what holds her resentment towards it, or if she just associates magic with the enchanted forest and magic and wishes and all of this stuff is bad, and
Yeah.
therefore you are bad, like you are demanding a blood sacrifice from me.
I know, right? What does that even is that for the creatures or for the forest? It seems like it was for the forest.
It seems like it was for the forest because she describes the forest as growling at her, and that's why she tosses that blood out, which, why are you the only one sacrificing these animals to the forest right now?
Exactly. Well, and so it might have something to do with her like fairy heritage or her it's weird to me in this book that they interchangeably use fairy and elf.
So, from what I think I've gathered as far as the interchanging goes, is the way that Scarlett St. Clair has looked at this and built the lore up of this book is that the overall mystical creatures, unless otherwise stated, are fairies.
Mhm.
But then within these fairies, you have your different classes. So if you were looking at ACOTAR, you would have your high fae, your lesser fae. But looking at this, you have, your elves, you have your silkies who will work
Brownies,
later, your
yeah.
your goblins, your wardrobe creatures.
Yeah. That makes sense. Oh, and I also noticed that she was talking about how the forest is expanding. So, theoretically, the prince that she buried on the edge of the forest
Is it the edge?
is at the edge. And what's his face? What do we the prince. We're calling him the prince right now, right?
The beast?
He didn't even give her a name to call him at this point.
How
So, he's the prince. Yeah. So the prince said, I believe in the last chapter, the fourth chapter, that he didn't really care about his brother passing.
Ooh, that is not really until I think the second set of chapters, because I just wrote that up for the next rundown.
Yes.
He
All
cut
right, my
it, but I do remember a very specific conversation that happens in I think chapter 7,
bad.
um, regarding his brother.
Got it, got it. He's talking about the death of his brother.
And I doubt because I don't know if that's a spoiler to anybody, but there is one conversation sticking out in my head because I just wrote it down not that long ago.
Mm-hmm. Damn, I could have sworn. But either way, it's interesting that he was buried on the edge of the human part of the potentially. I don't know if they have human and non though.
And so that's another kind of interesting focal point is there's not much the humans know about anything Fey-wise.
Mhm.
They just know they're bad and they curse people. That's
Mhm.
that's like as far as we get into it, looking at a human perspective. They are looked at as, disgusting, if you would, the way that Roland jeers at her, sneers in a way of like, ugh, you, what does he say? I don't even know what he says, but calling, like, I don't think he calls her Fae, or he doesn't call her Elf, he calls her Fae or something.
I have it somewhere. I'll find it. Keep going. Elven bitch.
Elven bitch. That's a color name.
That's a color name. So if you are not part of the Tundra Dip crowd, we will be thinking as we go, we will be keeping track of color names to make nail colors and name them. So that's one. Elven bitch.
I mean, it's kind of perfect, honestly.
Uh-huh.
But it's almost bat at her. And
Yeah.
so clearly we know this is not a good thing. This is not who we want to be. And
Nope.
she frequently tries to deny in herself. And funnily enough, it's something that 5 certain someones don't pick up on.
I know. So okay, so let's go. I guess let's try to go from the beginning. So she's doing the sacrifice, whatever. The girl comes and the girl's like, "The well's dry. We need to sacrifice you, basically. You need to break the curse."
It's your turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
It,
Um,
mm,
first, why is it her turn? Because Roland says so.
um,
Roland. Yeah.
can we talk about the fact that when we meet Roland, if we don't talk about this, it's going to irk me all day. When we meet Roland, and I need to pull up this exact quote.
Uh,
So he is described as the like most handsome, basically, of
I
the
have it.
others, right?
Um, he says Sheriff Roland, who was at their head. He wore a fine uniform, blue like the spring sky, and his hair was golden like the sun, curling like wild vines. The women of Elk called him handsome. They liked his dimpled smile and the fact that he had teeth.
The fact that he had teeth. I'm sorry, does nobody else in the village have teeth? Because
In the
how
stick.
how are they eating these apples?
Uh,
Why?
for real.
I don't know if it's because, again, I just came from reading most of the ACOTAR series, where you learn very quickly with Sarah J. Maas that nothing is written without a reason.
Mhm.
And so I'm going, is this just like a stupid little detail that maybe like not everyone has, like most people have teeth, but like, you know, when it comes to suitors, you gotta choose wisely now.
Yeah. Maybe
Honestly,
all of his teeth was taken in some curse. Maybe there was a curse and everybody lost their teeth.
you know, because everybody gets cursed in this village. Literally.
Well,
Everybody's
and
getting cursed.
who gets to decide what the fix to the curse is?
And I think what's stated here is that
Yeah.
the croon said that you have to do this. Now, I have a very big theory on who this croon is, and I really think we're going to see her in a later book in this series.
Hmm.
And that being said, my reasoning behind it is I think that this croon, we obviously know now that the toad is one of the elfin princes who was cursed. I think the croon is the one who cursed him.
Hmm.
And, you know, because the village of Elk just, you know, likes to attract curses, apparently. Their well got cursed in the slew of it all. However, it was that the well got cursed along. I think this crone wanted that prince gone. I think he wronged her somehow. I might have a theory that she's his own lover.
Ooh. See, I'm wondering if the crone will end up being like, what is it? The evil queen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like in Snow White, like the
yeah.
crone will be like our evil queen.
It's somebody, I feel like, granted, yes, we can really easily throw this character away by just the definitions that we were given at the beginning of the book in her little quick glossary.
Hmm.
I think the fact that it was very much, no, the croon said to kill the toad, and since the croon is supposed to be a witch of some sort, somebody of magical abilities, and somebody who really does send our hero on this journey with evil intent,
Hmm.
I
Because why does every solve that she has backfire?
and is she the one giving
Dead.
it solves? Is she the one basically cursing the town and we're still listening to her?
Right. Right. Because why is this town? Who cursed this town? Why does this town have curses? We don't know. That's just something that they're asking us to accept. I
And
don't
why
accept.
curse is so rampant that there is a reaping-esque ceremony. And when I say reaping, I'm talking like Ballad of the Songbird, where they very much were hand picking these people. It wasn't a random lottery. They
Yeah.
wanted the people gone for a reason.
Mhm.
And they picked the ones they knew were troublemakers. Like, think the 75th annual Hunger Games, where Katniss was put back in the realm for the ring for a reason.
Get this elven bitch out.
Honestly.
Her family's gone. Let's get her out.
And she says, like, you're picking the people you don't like and who don't like you. What are you gonna do when nobody's left?
Hmm.
Which, like, is that foreshadowing? Is that foreshadowing?
It might be foreshadowing.
No.
And then Roland offers to marry her or wants to marry her, but she says it's going to be a trick.
She's halfway between it being a trick and it's just like, you want me to, I asked you for an out for this curse and you gave me another curse.
Yeah.
She
Ouch.
goes, absolutely not. I don't
He's
blame.
basically our Gaston.
He is Gaston.
Yeah.
We're gonna find more Beauty and the Beast references.
I'm going to call him Gaston.
He is.
Because Roland's hard for me to remember.
I was gonna call him like a Chad, but it's fine. He
No,
gives
because then
me Chad
have
energy.
Uncle Murray, and we like him, and
Okay,
whatever.
but like he's the exception to the Chad rule. It's okay. I
I
call.
I thought it was super interesting that okay, so the frog or whatever is trying to hop back to the hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she says to him that she would rather keep him in a cage than kill him.
There's a little pit.
Such a weird thing to say is I would rather, which she feels like what, she's lived in a cage her whole life, right?
Ah,
So she's saying I would rather keep him in a cage than kill him.
which
Which
and
is
it's one of those things that's like I what a lovely thing to tell a living creature. And now knowing that this creature was a prince, was he hopping to get away from because of the curse, or was he now just hopping to get away from her because she's crazy?
right. Exactly. I'm like, okay, she's trying to like catch him and keep him in a cage. That
Because
doesn't
he's
sound
sentient enough to like get her out of that well, to help her out. And I think at what point was it like, well, he was going back to the well and I was telling him not to go to the well, but he did it anyways, which, okay, yes, but you were a strange person trying to catch him.
Mhm.
Was it self-preservation?
Yeah. Well, and
Or,
all of a sudden she just kills him.
yeah, and then it's, oops, this stone bashed your head in.
Oops, I threw this stone at this guy because I didn't want him to go back into the hole.
I didn't want him to go back in the well, so I took the stone that was in my hand and I threw it at him. And oh no!
Dead. And then he turns out to be a person.
And then oh no, he's a prince. Ooh,
Uh-huh. So then she goes to bed thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna get in trouble.
I'm get my head bashed in because I bashed my head in. Which and that's something that we see as well as she kind of is walking her way there. Is we see
Mhm.
a lot of those kind of other curses where, well, they said that a mouse was chewing at the roots of this tree and we had to kill the mouse to get the apples back. And the mouse, since the mouse was gorging and then he died, we're now gorging ourselves to death with apples.
Mhm. Which is funny because I feel like at this point, this village is just obsessed with curses and they're creating problems where none exist.
And the point is there actually no curse and you guys are just crazy. Maybe we were in a drought because we don't even get confirmation that the water came back once this frog was gone.
Correct. Or that there was ever any curses to begin with.
Like other than the one person was cursed to be a bear, I want to say, but
Oh,
he actually did something for that to happen. But beyond that, like we don't have confirmation that the water came back into the well.
mhm.
We don't like nobody said that. It's just the croon playing tricks on them. The croon wants her own like this is Jersey Shore before the croon.
They are corrupt. They are corrupt as hell.
It's all just for their own amusement at this point. They're
Yeah,
let's go have fun and bother the humans.
exactly. Which I won't say anything, but that like makes me feel like in trouble because of the end of the book, or not in trouble, like there's gonna be trouble.
Oh yeah. That
Which
definitely does not bode well.
I really hope that she kind of ties in all the books and that they're not just complete like standalones. I just I hope.
I don't so the one thing that makes me think that at some point there's going to be a major tie-in. And my other theory is that the last book in this series is going to be The Frog Prince. We're going to look at the toad. We're going to learn more about that prince and all of his things, only because, and we'll find out as we kind of go deeper into chapter 4, that each of these princes have a shard of a mirror.
Hmm.
But somebody else has already claimed the toads.
I know.
So I feel like we're going to find out who has the toads. And there's all this talk about putting the mirror back together. She
Mhm.
has to resolve that.
Yeah. Do you
It
know,
ha-
I have a theory that like it's someone from the village that has the mirror piece. Like the croon, maybe.
it's the crown. That's what I think.
Well, so and I love how the magic mirror in this is more so like the magic mirror from Shrek than really like the real magic mirror.
This magic mirror, I wrote in my notes, and this will pertain more to the following set of chapters. But this magic mirror gives me Lucian vibes. Um, and I say that in the most loving way possible.
Like the voice of reason to
Yes.
the crazy love and
He is.
male main character.
If you guys are going insane over here, I need to keep you and the readers on track. So
And
this is
also, does the mirror want to be reunited and that's why he's helping?
that's a good question. Well, and if it is reunited, are we looking at the king of all of fairylands? Which I don't
Mhm.
know if that's a spoiler in itself saying that word, but
I don't
it,
know.
that's fine.
I don't think
Um,
so.
do they kind of take over everything, or does everybody still have their own separate kingdoms? Because there's so much that can happen in these stories.
Maybe it would turn into like almost like lords and then there'd be a king.
Ooh, that'd be fun. But there's going to be some kind of revolt. These
Oh,
brothers do not look like the friendly type.
no. They just
At
seem tolerant of each other, is what it seems like.
100%. And I'm not convinced that these 5 princes who actually showed up care about their brother so much as they were there looking for that shard of mirror.
Yeah.
They did not come because he died. They came because they wanted to see if the mirror was left with his body.
That's true, I bet. Yeah.
But then they all kind of showed up.
We learn at some point why they don't really care. But it doesn't make sense to me why they would care so much knowing the information that we know.
And it's also just like, come on. Come on.
Oh, but and you could have you seen Stardust, like the movie Stardust?
I have not.
Okay, well, so the whole like premise is kind of similar is that all the princes have to find an amulet and kill all the other princes before they can be king. And so why would they care if one of the competition is dead?
It's not mathing. And the only thing I could think of is why they even cared about her and this. And this is, I don't remember if this was fully confirmed or not, but it is kind of one of the Beast's biggest fears that she's being sent to spy and to kind of throw him off his game. But that's 110% why they sent him to her. Because we learned that he's on a short timeline. He has 7 days.
7 days.
This curse
Mhm.
actually unalives him because you are nothing without a name in this realm.
Mhm.
And losing his name, he doesn't even reincarnate. He goes into nothingness because nobody knows who he is anymore.
Mhm.
And did they send him this girl who he would be infatuated with to give him this false sense of hope and make him try so hard these last 6 days to just kind of laugh at him?
Maybe they found her to be extremely difficult because she like picked up her axe, right, when they came
Yeah,
in?
he was ready to just whack them off.
And right when she was about to like just axe them to unalivement,
Bloop,
they her knees hit the carpet and boom, there's our prince.
boom. You are now in the arms of tall, dark, and handsome.
I love that form of transportation in a fairy tale. Like
Oh yeah,
we
when
don't
it
need to worry
oh,
about all the other science of transporting. Just boom, it's magic.
teleportation. I will say it took me like 2 or 3 times rereading that part to understand what happened.
Oh, funny.
Because it wasn't even just like a very clear cut. Okay, worth being said, when I first read this book, it was maybe 9 o'clock at night after work. My brain's already fried. I work with children for people who don't know. So I'm sitting here going,
Fair.
what do you mean is that she was at their house? Why is she here? When did that happen? I
Mhm.
didn't catch up on kind of like the subtle. and oh, now I'm here. Because any other time that there's kind of a transportation element or a vanishing element, once she's with the Prince of Thorns or Beast, whatever we will refer to until we get his actual name, um, it's stated. But it's almost out of respect and courtesy. Whereas these kids did not care. They said,
Well, and okay, when she's with the princes, before we move on to when she gets to the Prince of Thorns, when she's with the princes, one of them even tastes her blood and doesn't clock her as a fae.
okay, does not clock her as Faye, does not say anything about it.
In fact, he
And
said it is the folly of your human blood to take everything as it appears and not as it is.
so I have theory. I have theory because
They also call her foul human, by the way.
they do. And we do know, we'll learn later on how kind of big this degree of separation she is from Faye.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it could be because it is a large degree of separation and she is mainly human in that aspect. Is it that they did clock her, but these princes are too
Hi.
snooty snooty to even claim her as one of them?
And so by calling her human, they're putting her down.
They think they're putting her down because, and they don't understand that she resents the ever loving Jesus out of them. She is
Mm-hmm.
their fans, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they kind of get that.
Because not even a few pages later, the Prince of Thorns clocks her as a fae.
He calls,
Immediately.
yeah,
Vicious thing, vicious fae, he calls her.
literally within 2 seconds of seeing her. She might have
Mm.
tried to hear him as well, but within 2 seconds of being there, he goes, "You're a vicious thing, you're a vicious fae." But is it I genuinely think that they don't understand how much she enjoys not being noticed as fae. Enjoys like kind of passing as human and nobody really being mad at her because she kind of just wants this simple normal life at the beginning of the book.
Mhm.
And yeah, sure, totally. I'm only human. I'm not a half blood and less than that, actually. I'm thinking of half blood because Harry Potter, but how it's such like a derogatory term to be a muggle, to be whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, human, you're below us. We're too good for you. We're not
Right.
going to give you that satisfaction of having that title
Hmm.
because you're nothing. You will never be one of us.
Exactly. Well, and we can kind of like the last thing that they do is like they talk about him being a beast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand because she says that the one that tasted her blood was more terrifying than anything she's ever experienced, right? So she's
Mm-hmm.
not sure that the beast will be that much more terrifying or like she can't really imagine. I don't feel like he's very beastly. Like I don't feel like he even like I've seen anything from him that has been like out of line when it comes to like a high fae or like a prince fae.
So, relating this in ACOTAR terms, them calling him a beast in my mind is the same way that everyone in ACOTAR looks at the Night Court. Everyone, it's like a mask almost. It is
Like
the role
a
that
facade.
because even and we'll see in later chapters when he goes to visit another person, um, he kind of just like he plays a role in a sense of you
True.
what I say and you will give me what I want. But we don't see that when he's with.
He is rather rude to the mirror.
Yeah, he is. I see that kind of in a brotherly love, I think. I see that as like two friends bickering almost. Like they get to a point later on in the chapters where they're very much like they're egging him on. They are egging the beast on. You can't be mad when the beast fights you back.
She's basically the mirror is basically like Mrs. Potts. Or no. What's the guy, the candelabra guy?
Lumiere.
Lumiere, yeah. Basically the mirror is kind of like him like charm her, like blah 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 later on. Anyway, so she gets to him and he's very excited to see her. Like so excited that she notices something immediately very low on his body, which
No,
by
no,
the
no.
way is very Scarlett St. Clair.
Listen, she said it's a novella. We got about 250 pages of that. We're gonna get to it. And we're gonna get to it fast. We are on a 7-day timeline. Enemies to 7 days. Are you ready? Day one, go.
Literally like immediate. She's like talking about everything in no uncertain terms. I also enjoy the way that she uses the F word
Yep,
without like she doesn't make up her own curse words. We just use the F word. No big
I
deal.
love
Or
it.
bitch, you know? Yeah.
And well, and it also brings that own personality to the characters where we can now relate to them. These are words we say. This is how we react.
Mhm.
She's not trying to be fancy. She's not trying to create anything. I mean, the dedication of the book says it itself. It's for the fuck of it all.
I know exactly. That's why I love this so much because if you read, there's like a little like thing at the end, like the note from the author, and she basically talks about how she literally took things from all over, like tons of cultures, tons of folklore, tons of fairy tales, and just brought them into one. And I think that's like the coolest thing.
And it's done so well. I like my biggest gripe with this book is the fact that it's not longer. I wanted more time with these characters.
I wanted them to like I wanted the story to be longer so it was more like bought in. I mean, I was bought in, but I wanted it to be even
Yeah.
more so, where you really fall in love with them.
And granted, yes, I still fell in love with them. I still enjoy it. But you could definitely tell when it was like, hey, we're getting down to the wire. We really need her to figure out his name now.
Right. Right. So, is it right after she meets him that they go to bathe?
Um, is it right after she meets? I want to say yes.
And I think it's hilarious in this part where the red caps throw rocks at her, and then I think it's hilarious how she says blood was gushing from her nose. Like there's no what would you call it? There's no like fairy tale like veil. It's just like boom, she gets hit with a rock and she's bleeding.
We're not hiding anything. It's boom, which I think was also part of to show like these red caps are no joke. Like
Hmm.
they're here literally for blood.
And he let them hit her in the face with the rock. So
He
maybe he's a little beastly that way.
he was trying to teach her. Sometimes you gotta F around and find out.
And then he says, "Oh, vicious thing, you do not know hate. Give me time."
Oh,
He's
good.
dumb.
Just, well, what is it that they say about love
Love
and
and hate closely related.
mm,
Yeah, so it's like it feels like that's kind of like foreshadowing a little bit, but it's like very quick foreshadowing because she kind of despises him like pretty quick.
yeah, she is very much like, hey, you're with me now. Let's go.
Hmm. And I can't remember if it's in this part or the next, but it doesn't really matter. She consistently tells him that she hates
Oh, it is whenever there is a shadow of a doubt. Hey, by the way, I hate you.
him. Right.
And I think one of my favorite scenes definitely will be discussed next session. Um, but oh, I can't wait. I'll hold off until we get there actually. But she also calls him a miserable fuck, which might be dual intended, even though we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
That's quite like that. Those are her conceding words. Find you miserable fuck, like I will bathe in front of you. If that
Well, and then,
you,
so I found the quote that you were talking about with the where she was trying to off herself.
yes,
It says, "You do not get to leave this world on your own accord," he said, his gaze falling to my lips. So he's all like about her at this point. "And
oh yeah.
if you manage it, I will follow you to your death and haunt you for all of eternity."
And I will just point this out for anybody who has Kindle Unlimited. I've read this on my Kindle. 521 people have highlighted that little.
Ah.
So
And What's funny about this is I feel like because Scarlett St. Clair is Hades and Persephone, yeah? That's the
Yes,
same. Yeah, so I feel like she's missing Hades in this moment. Like when she's writing,
this,
channeling Hades.
and I think missing in the sense of two, I will give this small little detail from what I learned from my Q&A session with her. A Touch of Chaos, which is the one that just came out, right? Is the
Mhm.
last book in their story.
I heard this. So they're gonna go with Dionysus and can't remember her name right now. But
Yeah,
Dionysus' story and then also what's her face? The goddess of love.
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, yeah.
We're or Dionysus, we're gonna see more of Aphrodite. We're gonna
And
see more
Pegasus.
of Athena and
Oh,
Medusa.
ooh.
That was something that got confirmed and I was freaking out about.
Uh-huh.
But it's going to continue in the same realm. However, we are now going to shift to different characters. So I'm sure this isn't goodbye to Hades and Persephone forever, but this is goodbye to their story and their
It's
perspective.
kind of sad, but it's fine. It's
You know,
sad,
that's
fine.
how I was introduced to her, was that story through you, through one of the OG book
Oh,
top
probably, yeah.
book comments.
Mm-hmm. Touch of Darkness was the book that got me back into reading. I listened to it. So Scarlett St. Clair has a special place in my heart. I've actually spoken to her once on DMs before.
Ooh,
She's very nice and amazing.
she is incredible. I think she mentioned that she wakes up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to write.
Her. I wish I could be her. I wish I could wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to write. Oh my God.
I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just write and not have to get ready for other things.
If I wrote at 4 o'clock in the morning, I would fall asleep on my keyboard, drooling, shit like sparks coming out of the keyboard.
Just pull up your manuscript later, like, what was I on?
Uh-huh. So the next part we meet the mirror. And
We
it's interesting to
never.
me
Well,
that the mirror. Go ahead.
before I'm gonna pause you really quick because before we meet the mirror, we get our first bargain.
Oh, yes, sorry. Go for
We get
that.
bargain before we even get to the mirror, before we get to the beast point of view. All Giselle wants is to escape and to be free. So what does our lovely beast bargain with her? He will give her her freedom
Mhm.
if she can guess his true name, which yes, Rumpelstiltskin, except we're not going to see him on the corner shouting out his name.
And his name is not Rumpelstiltskin.
His name is not Rumpelstiltskin, and he does not want her firstborn child.
No. No, he just
And,
wants her to stay with him for the same amount of time, really.
yeah, so this is very much a if you guess my name, you can be free. If
If not,
you
same thing.
don't, you're still my prisoner, but every wrong guess, we're just
Mhm.
gonna tack a year on to your sentence.
Remember, okay, so we were confused about the years and we were wondering, I'm sure that we didn't catch a mistake. I'm sure that that's not the case. I'm sure that there's more meaning to it, but they get the number of years mixed up a lot.
So originally she gets sent there for 6 years.
Hmm.
And to the point where when I had messaged you about this yesterday as I was rereading and preparing for the next chapters,
Mhm.
I went back. I looked again. Maybe I misread. But it very clearly states 6 years.
And then he says when he's making the bargain with her, 6 years plus 1 year for every wrong guess.
Yes.
So, and she hasn't guessed yet. So
It's
we're gonna be on years watch to understand what's happening.
We're going to be on Year Watch, we're going to be on Clue Watch, and we're going to be on a Bargain Watch soon.
And did you say what was the second one?
Clue Watch.
Okay, and Rune watch.
Croon? Croon. Both of them. We're watching all of them.
We're watching everything. We're reading every word like 50 times.
So here's the tally of everything we're looking for. Listen, if you don't have eyes in the back of your head yet, develop them now and let's go.
Exactly.
But
So yeah, they did their bargain. They finish their bargain. And she's actually pretty smart through this. I've actually kind of commend her because she says, what happens if I do guess it correctly? That she thinks there's going to be a punishment if she does guess it correctly.
And she even, I want to say even in the beginning chapters, is very, very careful of how she words her bargains and how her bargains are worded. And this
She
is
always
very,
says, I did not wish for anything.
oh, and that is a detail for later because we find out why wishes are such a big deal to her.
Mhm.
Because they are. And dare I say, here's another color name, but wrongful wish.
Ooh. Got it.
Because wishes are very, very important in this story.
Spoken or non-spoken as well. So she's very, very careful. She does not, and which is kind of speaks to her character. Like if you as a person literally can't wish for anything, that means that you have a really sad life.
It's really bad, but again, we learn that this came from trauma.
A trauma, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
Which when don't we have a traumatized female main character in a fantasy novel? Me of the direction.
True, and at this point, it's like a traumatized FMC and an MMC.
Oh my gosh.
It's like that all the time now. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the Crim's a therapist.
Maybe.
Maybe
Maybe.
just need more questions.
Maybe it's like the surreal that got the therapist.
I need a surreal in my life, honestly.
Who doesn't? So now we meet Themyria.
Now we meet the mirror and we get the beast side of life.
Well, and what's the craziest thing is the first thing the mirror says is you will be the death of her.
Oh yeah, those are the first words even spoken that
Multiple times.
and it's said multiple times throughout the story and throughout that one part, even to the point where like the beast reminds him in that chapter, I believe, that you are not like you're not a mirror of prophecy. You can't predict the future. And there goes, you're right. However, I am a mirror of truth. I have a few theories on what this death is, and I will get to them as we get to the end of the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, he will be the death of her. Which
Yeah.
also, I feel like is a very common statement to make to somebody in a fantasy book.
Yes, but it is a magical object giving a statement multiple times.
Which, and at that point, one off, okay, whatever, you're just pulling my leg. But when it recurs and recurs and recurs, there is some obviously an importance to it. And something worth noting. I mean, you will be the death of me. She almost decided that she was done with everything in the bathing pool.
She almost called it quits right there.
She was ready to call it quits. He was not.
Wasn't she like a little bit curious about this handsome Fae? Like I would have been kind of like, "Hey, I got a little reason to live. I gotta try to, swoon."
I just can't see what you know? What's she doing over there? Which, and that is something I do want to look more into, I guess, as we explore her hate for him.
Mhm.
Is yes, he's her captor, but other than letting her get pelted with rocks, and something else that happens next chapter, he doesn't do much to deserve this hate. He really has given her freedom within reasonable limitations.
Mhm.
But he's not doing anything other than maybe being a D-bag at some points to deserve like
Like
full
you smell.
like you smell like you should be thankful for what I just your compliment.
Uh-huh.
We'll get into that.
This is the part where the enchanted mirror is described. It says, "A reminder that one of my brothers was dead and that someone had had his piece of the enchanted mirror. It had once been a hole and hung in our father's hall, but as he neared death, he broke it into 7 pieces, one for each of his sons, and declared that whoever put it back together again, Humpty Dumpty, by the way, would be the king of the enchanted forest." So then he says, "Who managed to snatch Euro's piece?" "None," said the mirror. Which of them? Sorry, which of them? He says, "None." "Who has it now?" And then he says, "A pretty, pretty thing." So it's a
But
girl. It's one of the love interests of the future books. One of
uh,
them.
saying it's the love interest of Euros, who
Yeah.
is disguised as a croon.
Hmm.
I will.
I gotta make a guess. I'm gonna say it's Elsie. I'm gonna make my bet on that one. You can get the croon. I'll say Elsie.
Mm, it can't, but she can't have it because of
Why?
what we later in the book.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't remember. So.
She's currently unalive. So how?
Oh,
On,
yeah.
she's
Yeah.
currently alive.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh wait, no,
Fun.
Elsie. I'm not thinking Elsie. I'm thinking her sister. Whoop.
Oh, by the way, this is how I know that Euros is born again. It does say it. He says, "Good fucking riddance." And then he says, "I thought, though it was not likely that he would not be born again, as all Fae were." So I have this theory that if his brother is buried at the edge of the enchanted forest, he can't reincarnate, but as the forest expands, he will.
Yes, but I want to say something was said in regards to reincarnation that it's not a guarantee that he's going to be reincarnated as an elf or anything. That he could
Right.
be reincarnated as like a bumblebee. So that's kind of my holdup, and I'm very interested to see his story and how his story ends, given the fact that he ends.
Maybe it'll be a frog. Maybe he'll be reincarnated as a frog.
Oh, maybe it's like a second chance at trying to. Well, no, I don't think he's fully unalived, and I think that he has a very similar tie-in to something that's going on with Gisella's sister that we learn about.
Hmm.
Um, and well, his curse is still active. I think his curse is still active, and there's a chance to kiss the frog.
That's what I'm saying.
I think there's still a chance to kiss the frog. I agree. I,
Um, it's so this part like is really confusing to me. Um, there he talks about the glass mountains. So he says the glass mountains is the first we hear of them. Were a source of life within the enchanted forest, and they called the beings that sprang from the depths of their offspring. What was born of them was immortal and mortal. And then it says, "I was immortal and immoral, born from the earth, and after I mixed my blood with one of their own, the mountains cursed me to my forget my true name." So what was he trying to do?
after I mix my blood, I want to say this was like mentioned later on in the story, and I can't recall fully. Um,
What are
is
we
it that
theorizing he was trying to?
people from the Glass Mountains can't mate with direct, full-blooded creatures or
Hmm.
things that are like of the same timeline of them or whatever. We
Mhm.
don't really learn much about their parents or other things, and I'm very curious on if we'll learn more about the Glass Mountains come next book as well.
They're very ominous at this point.
But the main, I would say the main kind of point of reference is everything was born immortal and moral. He's already admitted, I have no morality. Chalk
Oh.
up for morally gray characters.
Yep, yep. Well, and then it also says something really, really interesting that you cannot curse anyone while you are cursed, said the mirror. So here's my question. Can Gisela curse people?
Does she have magic?
She at
I
least has lineage.
She has lineage, and we learn that it's a very like far away lineage. It's like the great great grandfather or something like that.
Hmm.
But okay, I have a theory that technically she does end up cursing a group.
Yeah.
I think she does, and I think she has already done it
Hmm.
without knowing. And so
Oh. So you're thinking that she cursed her town already? Interesting.
I'm thinking because and I hate to play like the devil's
Maybe
advocate.
that's why they're like plagued with curses.
Her town that's plagued with curses, that's always been cursed. What if she's the one that's kind of brought it upon them?
Unbeknownst to her.
Unbeknownst to herself, like through all of this grief and a word I'm not allowed to say right now,
Mm-hmm.
grief and other emotions that relate to grief, had kind of conjured up these curses in a sense. What if that's the growling she's hearing? Because not long after that growl from the forest, where she feeds it blood, she makes a sacrifice to appease something of magic. She pays the price of magic. There's a new curse.
And it's not very clear that it's not very clear whether or not she sacrifices to the forest because everybody does or just because she does.
And because she hears the sound. And maybe it's she hears the sound because she has this Fey lineage and only they can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's the price she has to pay for making a curse, for cursing somebody.
See, Scarlett, we wanted your book to be this deep. I'm hoping that it ends up being that deep.
And this is our application to be ARC readers for the next one.
And then the mirror says, "You will be the death of her again."
Yes. Along with like a little sprinkling in of a name precedes you without your or nothing. And the key de resistance. I'm cursed to forget my true name unless it's spoken to me by my one true love.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a soulmate or your fated mate or whatever you want to call them. Which, again, his brothers had no idea of knowing that was Gisela.
Uh-uh.
He has no idea of knowing it. He can only hope.
And they say to like he doesn't believe it at this point. He doesn't believe that she's like gonna fall in love with him. He says that it's a foolish errand, and it's not gonna happen. He's gonna
And
try. He doesn't believe
he's
it.
right. And it's worth noting as well that it's never crossed his mind that he can't fall in love with her because he's already in love with her.
Mm-hmm. Goes right,
The
right.
moment she literally showed up on her hands and knees.
Yep. Well, and he kept calling her a siren. It's funny because it's almost like he thinks that his brother sent her as a distraction so that he doesn't break his curse.
He even says that himself.
Right, right. So yeah, he does. So it's like, dude, so you don't really think that this can actually just like be the right thing? Like he has no faith that it's gonna work out.
And that also shows you just how hopeless he's become,
Hmm.
which I have I need to type down this theory so I can circle back to it at the end.
Hmm.
This is not something we can include in this recording.
And it's funny because I've been listening to the another podcast about um with Akatar, and it's funny because they say the same things about Tamlin. They say that he didn't think that she could break the curse. She didn't think like he was kind of given up at this point. He's resigned, so
He's
he's not even really trying.
accepted his fate, and
Hmm.
that's where we are here. And I think, and that could also just be the case because we're looking at two romantices that are widely known as Beauty and the Beast retellings.
Right.
If you want to debate me on Glass Mirror.
And um the Beast in Beauty and the Beast was also resigned at that point.
He was at his end. The petals were falling. He gave up, and they're quite honestly in a moment of hopelessness. But of
Mhm.
course, they don't want to get their hopes up again. There's
Mhm.
nothing left to break. This is going to be my life. I'm going to be forgotten. It is what it is. But even with all that said, even as he's going, it's a fool's errand. She'll never love me. Even though he also says she will live long enough to speak my name.
Yeah.
Within almost the next beat,
It's like he's cocky and resigned at the same time.
oh, we love to see it. It's literally Edward Cullen and rolled into one. Because, and Edward Cullen comes back, because what does he do at the end of his chapter? He's watching her sleep through the
mirror. Yeah.
mirror, not in her bedroom like Edward would, but through the mirror, seeing all these bruises and scrapes from
And
being
she,
thrown down a well,
I believe
and
she's.
immediately tells the mirror, "Show me who hurt her."
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, we got to that point in the book where now you have to
This
remind
is,
me of him.
this is where he is much better than Tamlin, because Tamlin wouldn't give a fuck.
Tamlin was sitting on the sidelines down in the mountain, not caring that her arm was broken.
Mm-hmm. He'd be like, thank God I don't have to be watching her right now because I'm so sick of her face.
Yeah. But yet here we have, I drew near, what is it? Show me who hurt her, I said, and the mirror rippled. My creature vanished. My creature. Can my creature be a color name? Or
Yeah.
vicious creature? It has to be.
Love, like, my creature, vicious creature, all of that.
It's giving darling pet.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, I already know a color to go with it. We'll talk later. um, my creature vanished and a man came into view. He was in bed, hovering over a woman, thrusting into her. He's literally watching this guy, which, again, probably Elise, moaning in false pleasure. False pleasure is a color name. Maybe not for this book, but in general. At this point, we need a closer whiteboard. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
I wondered why it hurt my creature and if he had thought long of it. Long it. He had thought long it. Sorry, I'm probably misreading. My brain's short circuiting. It's fine. I drew nearer, pressing a clawed finger to the vision, anger gnashing my teeth.
Mhm.
Fragile man, I will break you. If that's not giving, I mean,
Oh,
we love when our morally gray characters say touch her and die.
yes, we do. And touched her ever before and die.
Hurt her? I need his social. He's no longer living.
Dead already, unalive forever.
He. You even thought about it? Sorry, he's no longer alive either.
Mm-hmm. And then we end the chapter on him deciding that the brothers have sent him a siren
Yes.
because he's already like falling for her basically.
Oh, he fell first and fell harder. He just won't admit it yet.
Uh-huh. And that is when we go into our week 2. So
Ooh,
that's it
ooh.
for this week. Any other crazy out there theories?
Not yet. Not that I can say yet, because everything I want to say is a spoiler.
That's hilarious. So, we will be back next week. However, we'll be wearing the same things because we're about to just do the second one.
Recording in bulk.
That can change for you guys. No big deal or anything.
It's fine. We're wearing, at least Bonnie is.
Let us know what you thought of our synopsis. If you thought that our theories were a crock, if you liked them, if you play into them, or if you have anything to add.
Yeah, let us know your own theories as well. Oh,
Yes.
this is going to be so much fun.
Yes, let us know your own theories so that we can include them, not this next week, but maybe the week after.
Woo woo.
Whoop whoop. All right. And